It's almost 1 o'clock Friday. After my brother escaped his appointment that he wanted the day before, um, I'm starting to build up resentment that I don't need to have. So, um, call this a journaling out loud, journaling out loud. Those who were a part of Live Journal, you know what it is, right? Back in the day. All right. Yeah, I'm starting to feel some resentment because I'm a person of my word, and I I have to acknowledge my feelings as well in this situation. And while I can understand, the fear and the panic that he has, I mean, I need my life as well, and I think that's kind of been my issue for a very long time with not just him, but with others who just assume, and this is probably a journaling video for a lot of people who could resonate, mostly women, okay, where people just assume that we must take care of everyone. Like, there is a whole saying, like first daughter syndrome or something like that. It's like, I'm the only daughter and the first daughter, okay? So, like I said, I do understand that. I understand he is going through some things, and he's never seen what true health could look like for him. But at the same time, I gotta live my life. I'm not gonna suspend my life for him. And I think that's the narrative that a lot of people ascribe to, that you must suspend your life in order to help someone. And that's not true. No one should be doing that. Okay, so I'm stuck in traffic. No one should be doing that. No one should suspend their life, put their life on hold, like, um, you know, to caregive. Now, what I mean by that is, like, people have to have boundaries. Hello there. People need to have boundaries and exercise those boundaries. And right now, I've kind of had an unspoken boundary with work, being at work with my brother. Even a year ago when he was still in Alabama, things like, you can't call me anytime you want to because I'm at work, and teachers can't take phone calls anytime you just want, like your finger itches or whatever. And I've kind of had to teach him on that boundary a year ago with phone calls. And my mother asked me, 50, my mother asked me the other day, am I telling him my days off? And I'm like, no, because first of all, of his short-term memory, he won't remember. And then secondly, if I do tell him and then I go back to work, he won't remember. So I'm trying to keep him on my schedule as much as possible, my normal schedule. And I don't tell him I have days off, because another thing is coming up, which I think that's his personality, not necessarily the illness, maybe the illness a little bit, but his personality too. He's missed out on a lot in life, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. He seems like he's coming back online, literally, after being in a haze for almost 20 years. And he wants to go live it up, live the life that he's been missing because of mental illness, and because of the care he was getting that wasn't adequate care, quite honestly. And what he's doing, and I noticed it early on, but it kind of reminds me of how some men, not all, before I go too far in this, some men just assume, like, oh, you're just gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna, like, and you're not even asking me. It feels like he's like bruh man from Martin, if you've ever watched that TV show. He's like, I'm just here to make sandwiches. I just come down here to be like, I'm just not gonna bother you. I just want this. And I'm like, he's shopping out of my kitchen, you know. He actually did that, my brother. Not necessarily shopping out of but out of my house just now. Um, Between the video I just did where I'm waiting for him to come out of the bank and then driving over to my house, he's trying to like get pieces of my furniture, just claim it. And I'm like, no, I am ordering you furniture. It's like, can you like recognize, friend? And maybe that's a sibling thing. Maybe that's his personality. I think it is a part of his personality because, like, yeah, we had another relative that kind of like that, where they just started saying, "Ooh, this is nice. Can I have it?" Just start asking people for things, and I'm like, no. I've already warned some of my friends about my brother. It's like he's kind. He really is. He's not, but sometimes he'll just be like, oh, I like this. Can I have it? It's like, no. It's okay to say no. And I do observe boundaries like that. But I'm also noticing like he's kind of increasingly clinging to me because I am the anchor in his memory. And that bothers me a lot because what if I'm not here? You know? And he does not want, well, at least today, saying that he wanted some, medical care, but then refused it while we're in the office. And legally, they have to honor what he is saying. Even if 45 minutes later, he'll say, oh, yeah, I do want it. That's very frustrating. So back to what I originally said. I am me. I'm going to try to be a person of my word. If I don't believe in myself, if I don't say it for myself and act on it, then, that's me, for me. But then I do sometimes hold people to that same standard, even though I probably should not. Because not everybody is a person of their word. Some people are fickle, and some people are genuinely panicked and scared, like my brother this morning. So like I said, this is a little bit of a journaling, kind of self-soothing myself because I don't want to be angry. Because one of the, I guess, benefits of his short-term memory, he might not remember any of this later today. Like, seriously. So I kind of have to, process it and let it go. Process it and let it go. Meanwhile, take care of yourself. Caregivers need care as well. Observing, having boundaries, and, enforcing your boundaries. Another thing that just happened, he says he wants to help me, but he's really not. It's almost like he's 6 or 7 years old. And you know how little kids are, where they're like, I want to help, and they just bug you, like, I want to help, I want to help, I want to help, I want to do this, I want to do this. Yeah, I can do it, I can do it. And it's like, yeah. And then once you give them the task to do, 10 minutes in, they're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, same thing. Okay, very frustrating. And that's what he just did. So he said he wanted to help me around my house. And I'm like, okay. So at first, the other day, I was like, kind of hesitant because, again, I kind of have to do it myself. He has a short-term memory, all the things. I found him something to do yesterday and the day before. The fence thing, see, that's where I knew something was going to go awry. He says he wanted to paint my fence. I'm like, okay, I'll get all the materials. And he barely did anything. I'm gonna just be honest. He barely did anything. And I honestly think that is because of the medicine too. And I can't, be too hard on him for that. But like I said, this is me venting. This is me processing what I'm feeling so that I can be a better caregiver, knowing that I don't have to be pleasant all the time. Okay. And that's, I guess, another thing that I'm trying to make sure I work through. It's okay for him to know that I'm not happy. Right? So I've been practicing my emotional intelligence. And that's why, again, why I even started this channel in the first place. Like, I seriously think more people Instead of the first of the new year, instead of everybody going into a gym, everybody needs to go ahead and either get a life coach, a real one, or some kind of therapist, or go into group therapy for a month, like seriously, and tune up on that emotional intelligence. Okay? Emotional intelligence. So instead of going to the gym every January 1st, and everybody's like, I need to lose weight, ask yourself, how did you gain weight in the first place? Were you eating too much? Obsessive eating? Why are you overeating? What are you trying to hide? What are you trying to cover up? See, emotional intelligence. All of it plays a part. Okay? So I'm taking myself to the grocery store, I like to go to that I can afford, because that's yet another thing right now that I kind of had to confront him on, that he will be on a fixed income, and he can't just assume I'm going to pay for everything for him. Um, Unfortunately, his former caregivers never gave him like the why, but then again he never asked. But he was young, he didn't know, and we didn't know. And I don't want him assuming that I'm trying to steal his money. I've been saying that and saying it and say I'm just the caretaker for it, so that it gets spent the way that, Social Security wants it spent. Um, and they never told him why. They never told him, like, there's certain things you can't do legally or you'll lose your benefits. But he kept trying to do them. And, here I am with him now. But I'm telling him why. And I'm hoping that it's sinking in. I hope, like, with all of his anxiety and suspicion and, worry, that he worries a lot, like the money's not coming. Like even today, he's saying, "Oh, it's not going to come today because they're just going to take it and send it back to Birmingham." It's like, no, it's done. We've been in this office how many times in Atlanta? Like 4 or 5 times. It's coming here. You must be patient. So yeah, he's been calling his bank like 4 or 5 times today, this morning. Okay, who knows how many times he called it last night? That's probably why he had to go back, because they locked him out of his account. That's how many times he tried to call it and hit it up or whatever with his short-term memory. And yeah, mental illness is nothing to play with, So as we are those out there helping people who are struggling with mental illness, you've got to make sure you practice your mental wellness. And like I said, I'm just showing y'all in real time how I'm working through my upset. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I'm feeling resentment. Yeah. Yeah. I'm feeling those things. And naming it and acknowledging it, sitting with it, not pushing it away with food or alcohol or smoking or any other pill or anything like that. It's like you got to sit with it, and you got to talk through it. Even if it's talking to yourself or the internet, right? Like right now, he did a lot of great things this week. Okay. And that's something else that I am acknowledging. That's like, I think, and I know his personality because it's very similar to my dad right now, where, people, they start to feel better, and then all of a sudden, oh, they can jump right back into everything and say everything's cool now. No, it's like wellness is not like that. Sickness is not like that. Your sickness, unless you got like some kind of 24-hour bug or something, and you got an infectious whatever, it doesn't happen in a matter of hours. Okay, the wellness has to start days and weeks before you finally see the results. And when you start seeing the results, it's just like watching a sprout grow out of the ground. You've got to nurture it. You've got to continue it, watering it, feeding it, giving it sunlight. Same thing with your health. All of your health, your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health, all of it. You must be nurtured. And my brother, just like a lot of people, just assume, oh, take a pill and you'll be fine. Take a shot and you'll be fine. All of it is synergetic, meaning it all has to come together. You got to have the right mindset. You got to have, all the other pieces put together to come together. That's what creates wellness. It's not just a pill, all your problems are gone away. That's kind of how a lot of people end up in these situations, right? Doing opiates and narcotics and whatnot to escape, to get away. Okay, you can't pill yourself out of into wellness. I mean, yeah, it's a part of it, but it's not all of it. I'm parking now. It's a part of it, but it is not all of it. I might come back on here again. I'm already starting to feel better. So yeah, so that's how I work through some things. Sometimes I journal it on paper. I've done audio. A lot of that might end up being behind a paywall. I'm gonna just be honest. But today, yeah, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, he's made a lot of strides. And with my kitchen witchery, is that the word? My cooking, my nourishing, nutrients, foods, waters, rest. But at some point in time, you definitely got to take care of yourself. And with all the time I've spent with him on my break, see, again, I never told him that I was ever on a Christmas break, because I can't. Because, I'll explain that again, where his short-term memory, and I'm his anchor, he's in a new city. He does not know a lot of things going on, like where to go. He will get lost. That's what happened to him in this last location. And they didn't believe that he had short-term memory. Okay. So I'm his anchor. I understand that, but he also has to be able to start working to help himself, being brave. But he's done a lot so far, and I will give him that. Sometimes we need to retreat in order to fight again. And it's not a retreat, it is a learning. This L is a lesson, not a loss today. It's a lesson. We'll try again. We'll try different ways. This universe is infinite, so there's never one way to do anything. And that's one thing that always keeps me going, knowing that there is always another way. Okay, and with that I say, take care.